Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast, episode 54. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm his co-host, Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about film and TV topics from the last week and give them to you all this week. And I guess before we get into what topics we're going to talk about, just a couple of house cleaning updates I want to at least go over with you guys. We kind of updated our channel with new thumbnails and whatnot, and a new look and a new banner and graphics
and a new release schedule.
Yeah, that's a big important one. So we're now releasing our episodes on Monday mornings, but clips throughout the week every other day, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Mm-hmm. So those are our big updates to the channel. Think it's going to be a little better for you guys.
Yeah, I think so. I think visually, hopefully it looks a little nicer, and I think Ian put a lot of thought and hard work into making it happen. So round of applause. And
well, thank you. I mean, you put in a lot of effort into our thumbnails now too. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, round of applause to you too.
Let's just jerk each other off this whole time. So, but thank you for tuning in. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff from CinemaCon this last week. Well, maybe not a ton, but the things that we kind of thought were interesting about CinemaCon.
Yeah.
We got another hypothetical this week about DC Elseworlds movies, and a Joker 2 trailer, a Maxine trailer, which I was very surprised that my co-host was interested in, but I think that's awesome. And I know Fallout is happening right now. I've seen 2 episodes, but we're not gonna be able to review the whole thing. I think next week we will be able to. Yes, but we do have a review, and that review is the Civil War movie by Alex Garland that just came out.
And A24.
By A24, this is their, if I'm not mistaken, this is their first foray into, we covered a while back that they are trying to make more big budget, kind of blockbuster esque movies, because they were saying look, it's great that we make all these smaller films, but they don't always have the best return on investment, and it's not sustainable if we don't do some bigger movies that generate a bit more income.
Right. Think about how successful Everything Everywhere All at Once was, and that's a big sci-fi movie in a way.
But I still think that was as big and as successful as it was still very small budget, which the blockbuster doesn't need to be big budget, but when we're talking about this movie, but
I think we're thinking big ideas,
yeah,
and this is a big idea, right?
This is a huge idea. And I'm sure if you're listening to this or you clicked on the video, you may have an idea of what the movie is about. If not, Civil War is a near future vision,
alternate timeline,
kind of timeline of, in a way, of America. Not exactly sure what time period it necessarily takes place in, but
it feels just like a modern day, to be honest.
It does feel modern day, but it does mention Antifa and MAGA at one part in the movie. So I was this seems further down the line a little bit,
yeah, there's nothing telling you that though in the movie, I guess.
Sure.
Right.
But so there's a bit of an alternate history going on, and it's basically if Civil War were to happen nowadays, how would it go about? And it's kind of following these 3 war journalists and a young up and coming
yeah, I mean she's a journalist too.
She's a journalist, but I think she's never done war journalism.
She wants to be a war journalist, and she hasn't really done it yet.
And her idol is Kirsten Dunst's character,
Lee Pace. Is it Lee Pace?
No, it's Lee, and then last name starts with an M, I think.
Yeah, I can't totally remember.
I remember Lee. I remember Lee. So, so anyways, Alex Garland, he made one of my favorite movies, which is Ex Machina, Annihilation Men, Devs, wrote 28 Days Later. And I before getting into spoilers, I'll say in terms of Alex Garland movies, this is right underneath Ex Machina for me. It's my favorite.
I don't think I would have said it was as good as Ex Machina,
but I think it's much better than most of his other work.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, I'd have to give you the benefit of that in that.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, but anyways, just going into the movie. So I've heard some people put this in their category of, amazing movie, but don't ever want to watch it again.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and
It's so funny.
I understand why.
When I walked out of the theater, the woman behind me was a middle-aged woman. She was like, that was very upsetting. I didn't like that at all. And I was like, okay, all right.
I mean, it is. I mean, it's an intense,
but
visceral.
What were you expecting, really? I mean, it's a rated R. Like, you're gonna be upset at some point in this movie,
Right. So, I think, and I understand. Like to a certain extent, like I don't think I was prepared for how intense the movie was going to be at some points, because
it was really intense. Yeah.
At some points it's intense for the just like there's tension, there was uncertainty, there was a lot of like things could happen for whatever reason at any point.
Right.
And then there was other points where it was more like a 0 Dark 30, where it was intense from there's guns going off and
like
war and like we're really in it, and you can feel how claustrophobic and like pinned down. And so I think I would watch it again. I'm not necessarily gonna like say I'm gonna rush back into the theater to see it, because it is quite a intense movie. But I would definitely want to see it again, and I thought it was great. It was just a lot.
I want to see it again. I mean, and it's for reasons that I'll get into like later into like a more spoiler territory. But there's just parts of the story that like I really need to like see again. I feel, without getting the spoilers. But yeah, I personally loved like the 4 main, like that group was incredible. I thought they were all great
chemistry.
Gosh, I wish I had looked up the actor's name, who was I recognize him from like the first Dune.
I think his name's like William McKinley, I think.
Yeah,
but
he was amazing.
Yeah.
The male actor who was like next to Lee the whole time. I mean, he was incredible.
Oh yeah, he was great. So you have Wagner Moura, who played Joel, which was guy like her driver, her like companion, Lee's companion. And then Stephen McKinley, who played Sammy.
Yeah. Okay.
Who was the older black guy that was joining them. All the 3 adults.
Well, I mean, there's 4 adults.
Sorry. Well, yeah. Sorry. She is
She's
an adult.
23.
Sorry. She is. The only reason I say that is because I understand in the movie she's 23. I just thought she looked so young that at times, like, I could have easily like mistaken her for like a 17-year-old.
It's funny. Like, I saw this with my dad, and he was like, is she like 15 or something? Like, what's going on?
She looked really young.
She
did.
Here
on like on the IMDb, like she looks like 23. I don't know. Like, she looks older. But I without spoilers, like the leads were great. All the most notably one, main person who was like kind of like a character who shows up in the middle of the movie was great and intense. Kirsten Dunst, I think
she was great.
Her performance, minus like maybe one part that wasn't her fault. It was like a writing choice that I thought was a little strange. But she was really great, and I was like, I haven't seen Kirsten Dunst like this before, so it was cool.
All of them just had such great emotional reactions throughout the movie. Really made you believe everything that was going on, just like really grounded the whole thing. So props to them. Absolutely. And then the soundtrack I thought was great. Really a lot of great, like, melancholic music. I think what's so refreshing for me with this movie is that like the sound was just done so much better than like coming from like the Godzilla vs. X Kong. Like, there were points where like you would have a hard cut to like a war moment, and like you would just be pounded with like the bullets, and like you just felt like you were there in it, like immediately, and you're like, whoa, okay, this is really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, regarding the music, I'm kind of glad you brought that up. I mean, I always think about it, but I know like not everybody does. But the sound, like the music choices were really cool. Like when they start off in New York, I really, when the first song that they play is by a band called Silver Apples, which is this like a duo from the 1960s, 1970s when the Vietnam war was going on, and they were like this part of like New York that was like making music that was like kind of against the war, but they were like this experimental outfit, but they were a big like part of like they had played during protests and whatnot. So it was like very cool to like see like that music being played at that point. Right. And then they end the movie with Dream Baby Dream by Suicide. And I had forgotten until I listened to it last night that the beginning of that song, they don't play it in the movie, but the beginning of that song is like kind of, the singer is almost joking, like, and like being kind of like nasty about the fact that like you think that it can't happen over here, but it can. But like, at least you got your dreams. Like we can just dream, it won't happen. And so the starts singing like Dream Baby Dream. And it's like this melancholic, but also like, it's like, yeah, just keep dreaming that it will never happen over here. And that's how they choose to end the movie. And I thought that was really like, like really well placed. And it makes me like think about that in a different way. And then lastly, there's one like motif of like this guitar song that plays throughout the movie that has like this Americana. I don't know if it was like written for the movie or if it was just a song that they found.
Right. They pulled some chord out of it. Right.
But like it was they would play like this guitar music throughout, and it was like Americana, and it would go from like these like country kind of like notes, and then it would get into like these dissonant, like tense notes, and it go back into like this emotional bit, and it was all like the same song. And I thought it just fit the movie really well. Like I was constantly like, yeah, it was a great vibe. They made some really great choices. Even points where I was like, that's weird that they're playing like a what's that fucking what's that hip hop group that they play in the movie?
It's not De La Soul, is it?
No, it's not De La Soul, but it's A Tribe Called Quest. They play like a Tribe Called Quest song. Yeah. At this very like dark.
No, yeah, point. Well, you didn't expect it.
And I was like, after a second, I was like, whoa, that's jarring. And then I was like, but I kind of think I get it. And there's parts of the movie where like people were laughing, and like I was like, like, oh, it is funny. Like it is funny, but like
there are points that are funny, right?
Am I like taking this movie too seriously, or is it like supposed to be funny? Like there were points where I was like,
it's right, yeah. I don't think you're meant to take this as a comedy at all. I think there's just funny moments, just because some characters are funny, I'm glad you meticulated the music better than I could.
I'm just ranting about the music.
No, I appreciate it though. You nailed it. But yeah, I want to get into some more spoilers.
Let's go into spoilers.
So yeah, I think it's easily what makes the movie to me is the journey of like Lee's character and is it Jesse, the younger character, the mentor that she mentors. This movie, and I will say it's not what I was expecting in a way, because like if you remember, they released this map of the United States and how like it was split up into these 4 different alliances, and that didn't really seem to matter at all. Like it really never came into play.
I think a little bit, but I think not in the way that maybe we like.
I don't know if I remember any, like it was just like the main United States and then the Western forces. Like I don't remember them ever talking about like the Florida Alliance or like whatever the other one was.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it doesn't bother me that they weren't, because like the real story of this movie is Lee, right? It's about Lee and how she is like changing because of this war and this woman she's mentoring, and I guess also the journey that she goes on throughout this movie changes her, and I think that like the whole like basically final act where they're in DC is such like a beautiful representation of how like both of them changed so much throughout this journey, where like Jesse wasn't afraid of anything at this point in the movie, whereas like Lee had pretty much gained all of her humanity back. It was like really beautiful to see, and then like it fully like encapsulates it all in this moment at the end where like Lee sacrifices herself for Jesse, and it's like the full symbolization that she's gained her humanity back while Jesse's like literally taking the photos of her while she's dying.
Yeah.
It's like they fully swap places by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I think it was really well done.
I agree with everything you're saying. I think the only thing that I didn't like is I don't feel like I saw enough of that change with Lee to warrant the to warrant how she was behaving when they got into DC. Like I felt like there was almost like this big twist in her character where like all of a sudden now she's just
I think what really did it for me, like what really changed her was Sammy dying. Like I think like when she deleted like the photo of Sammy, I think that was the turn in her character where she's like, this was like my friend and somebody I really looked up to, and like I can't use this photo of him as I don't know, like art, a message, whatever you want to call it. And I think she might have realized that like all of these people she's been taking photos of have this story as well. And it's like, I think she just gained so much of her humanity back, like in that moment. Where it might seem like a drastic change, but I think it really sparked it with Sammy's death.
Yeah. I think you're right. I just think I would have liked to have seen a bit more. It is all, but sure. I think you're right. Like I do believe like those were the catalysts for the change. I just thought it could have been done a little bit better, because I just thought it was a little strange. Like she just started like
so abrupt, right?
Yeah. But that was really it. But like what you're saying, like with the different factions, they don't really matter. It's just kind of world building. Right. It's kind of
for sure.
Like even Sammy says like, like even if they do win, the Western forces win, like nobody's going to know what to do. Like people aren't going to talk to each other.
The alliances are going to turn on themselves. Right?
Yeah. And I was like, I could totally see that. And, when we get to this fucking Winter Wonderland, like car, Christmas kind of like car tour, we find these two guys who are sniping this guy in a house, and Joel's like, what side are you on? And he's like, we're just shooting at somebody who's trying to kill us.
Somebody's trying to kill us, so we're trying to kill them. And that's really what America boiled down to at a certain point, know? And like basically maniacs were allowed to roam free and kill whoever they wanted.
Yeah, like those guys at the gas station that they first run into.
You know what? And you mentioned world building too. Like they did it with those guys at the gas station and like a few other times in the movie where they just dropped a piece of information like, oh, like at the gas station, they were like, oh, $300 was only going to get you like a sandwich. And she's like, well, 300 Canadian, was that going to get me what I need? And so like clearly saying like the value of the American dollar is plummeted.
Astronomically plummeted.
Right. They dropped the fact that like the president ran for a third term and got it, that he abolished the FBI. I just think like
that
not
sound a little close to home.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But like, I think like not just giving it all to us at once and allowing us to like learn about the world like through the movie was really great. I think it's just the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't like a big exposition dump.
No. You were pretty much thrown right into the beginning of it.
Yeah. You just like learned everything pretty,
end, I guess you should say,
through like conversations. And it was, and it didn't make you feel like you were dumb, I guess.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. So a complaint, and it's not like a huge complaint I have with the movie. I think I would have maybe preferred somebody different for the president. I think like Nick Offerman was fine. I think he was like a fine president, but like, you know who Nick Offerman is. He usually plays a comedic character. Yes, he's played serious characters before, but it's I think it would have done well to like give me like a face I can like hate, because like at the end you're made to believe he's this like pathetic, like squirming president, this man, shrivel of a man. And then Nick Offerman doesn't scream that to me, but like he was a fine choice. I don't hate it, but it's not who I would have necessarily wanted.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I liked him as the president. Because to me, if he had played it more like, like screaming and like pathetic, like I think it would be.
No, I don't have a problem with how he played it. I just think it's because he's such like a well-known face to me that it's like I would have wanted just an actor who I didn't know. I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay, I don't know. I thought he did a great job. Like I totally believed him as the president.
Sure. I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm just saying, I would have preferred
nitpicking.
Yeah, I'm right. There's not much for me to nitpick in this movie because I really do think so much of it's done so well. Like. I really don't have that many complaints. Yeah,
I mean, and most notably, I think the most there's a couple moments that I think I'll think about quite regularly, and one is at the beginning of the movie where this woman just suicide bombs running with an American flag into a group of people.
Yeah,
and then the other is just the build-up to Jesse Plemons' character, where we have this.
Talk about that yet? Yeah,
we have this car just speeding at
scares the hell out of you,
and it's scaring the fuck out of you. Tires are squealing. They're like almost running off the road, right. And you find out that it's like friends, Joel's friend, and then this fucking dude just like starts stressing me the fuck out trying to get into the other car. And then Jesse's like, no, I'm going to do it. And
I was like, what are you doing, Jesse? Like,
so much tension. Then he speeds off. They can't find him.
Right.
And then, they find the car. The doors are both open. We see that they're taken with Jesse Plemons' character, who I don't know if I've seen Jesse Plemons be more terrifying. Like out of all the roles that he's played, which is including Todd. I was like, Todd's a good from Breaking Bad
rival to that.
Like he is, but there was now if we had gotten to learn more about his character, like he definitely is somebody who I don't think is as crazy as some other characters that he's played. But I think with the short information of like, look, if you're not from America, you die instantly.
Right.
Like if
like, you are, you might die,
like you could die, you could be like annoying, but like, I think his main thing was like, I don't necessarily care who you are, like what you believe in. He's like, you just need to be American. Right. But you didn't know that's what he like, because the whole time you just didn't know what he was about.
Right. You were like, oh, well, is he a part of is he part of the Western forces? And then he's not a part of that, he's going to shoot?
Right. Like he was just like, what kind of American are you? Yeah. He's like, where are you from? And
I couldn't believe that their friend didn't lie. Joel's friend. Like he just straight up was just like, yeah, I'm from Hong Kong. I was like, dude, you got to read the room right now. Like he's going to shoot you if you say something that's not US. So, yeah.
I mean, and just like how he's like, oh, that guy, that guy is your friend. Bam.
Gosh, yeah, all the gunshots in this movie were just so like just hit you right in the chest, you know?
Yeah.
It was such great sound work, honestly. But and then you had Sammy come out of nowhere and just murder these guys, which was incredible. I loved that. Didn't expect it.
And then you just see Jesse over this
oh my gosh,
like pool of bodies.
That's got to be what finally snapped her into not having like humanity, right? I mean, like, I don't know, maybe that wasn't it, but like that's got to break you on some level of just laying with recently killed humans. Yeah. A lot of really dark scenes in this movie. Really gritty, real movie, you know?
Like even on top of all of the darkness, like all the like camp scenes and you know,
we're really
going
great,
in the car together. Like they have
nice
a lot
moments.
of nice human,
right?
You know, like build, like they're building like friendships. They're getting along with each other. You know, like there is joy
for sure,
but at the same time, like it's immediatly like juxtaposed by
the world
like,
they're living in.
You know, like they, and also I just, it makes me think so much differently about like, oh, like you see a photo on your phone of like a war going on and you're like, oh, that's happening. But I don't even think about the fact that somebody had to be there to take the photo.
Right.
And
to view it, to witness it. Right?
I'm like the moral questions of that, like Lee's character had been dealing with, of you don't intervene, you just take the photo. Like people are literally getting their photos taken while they're
dying,
while they're
being shot at. Right.
You're there. You're like, it's such a morally gray place to be in, and like it's important, but it's also like I can't imagine how that would affect somebody,
right?
And like you have somebody like Joel who's like fucking getting turned on by it all,
right? Because he knows that's where the money shot is, right? You know.
So I don't know. There's a lot of human, like a lot of serious human emotions and ideas and just, I don't know, like on top of it being like a kind of like a cautionary tale and kind of like a what if situation, I feel like it was even more so, I don't know, like a story about what it means to, like with a lot of movies, but like what it means to be human and like what's important. And I don't know, it's kind of hard. Like I saw the movie like Thursday and I'm still thinking about what exactly I'm supposed to take away from it, but it's not nothing. It's just like these are important things to think about. And how I think at the end of it all, it was like, look how bad all of this is. And for this to be going on anywhere, you know, is like, you know, you have people who are like completely avoiding that it's even going on in the movie, you know,
which is so like typical American in a sense, you know? Yeah. No, but yeah, I agree. This movie just hits you hard. And, yeah, it's a great journey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to some of our trailers. That's enough for review this week, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, first trailer we want to talk about is, I'm assuming the one we're most excited about, Joker Folie.
Yes.
Finally got a trailer for it. Super exciting. We really get a lot of a like sense of the story, even though it's not super obvious, I guess, where it goes for me. But like, you know, basically we get him at the insane asylum where he was at the end of the first movie. Is it him who mentions music? I think it's him who mentions music the first time. I can't remember.
I thought it was. I thought it. was I thought it was
Harley?
Gaga. Yeah, I thought, or it was either her or somebody else was like saying like music's the way that we repair like these fractured parts of our.
It feels like like this trailer is showing that like through meeting this woman, maybe they're using music as an escape from where they're living and what their current situation is. Because we get so many like big set pieces in this movie. Like they're on stage a lot. They're dancing in the street and like in the rain when they probably should not be out of the insane asylum. So I'm assuming all of those things are happening like inside of their minds.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, so what's your take?
Well, I get. Well, first I'll say like I know Todd Phillips was talking about like, well, if we were to do a Joker 2, like what would the story be? And like they're just kind of talking about it, him and Joaquin, and like they had mentioned that because you see it in the first Joker movie, like there is some like scenes that have music and like even Joaquin after like murdering those guys at the subway station, like when he goes into the bathroom, he starts doing that like dance. And they had mentioned that music is kind of like a big part of Arthur. And like if we were going to make something, like there should be something incorporated with that. And then they kind of came up with a script.
Maybe not how he gets introduced to music, but how they bond instead.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. There's a bit of that going on. Folie à deux, meaning the shared madness of two people. Very, I feel like, perfect for describing Harley and Joker's relationship. And I think that maybe it's like there probably will be a few moments where those musical moments are in their heads, but I do think that there is going to be times where they have gotten out of the insane asylum and they are in the real world and there are still these musical moments going on. I'm
just so curious at like where that story leads like Arthur, like what big revelation is he gonna have, or like what about this story is like so important to Arthur, I guess. I think it's having somebody that also doesn't make him feel so alone. Yeah. Like, I do feel like there's a love story, obviously. I don't know. I just feel like the first one, like what he did by the end of the movie, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be something like that big again, or like something so profound that like changes him in a way, like for this to be like a story worth telling. And so like I don't doubt that there is one for this movie. I just have no idea what it is,
Right. Yeah. Which, I don't know what it is either. Yeah. But I love the idea that the reason that music is a big part of it is because it's almost like this therapy process. Right. In the insane asylum, and it's a bonding moment, and I
think it all really works for me. I think I'm really liking that aspect for sure.
Right. And I think I liked hearing that, it's the most Joker thing to do to follow up, a Joker movie with like almost a musical, and I was like that. I agree. Like what's more like just let's do this crazy thing. And then the whole movie's not going to be a musical, but just talking about the trailer, I think they know that this is they got something again that's really good. I think it looks fantastic, and I honestly cannot get over the last shot in the trailer.
It's been being memed. You've seen that, right?
No, I haven't seen the memes.
Well, no, so basically there was that one tweet where like somebody was like, where you pan to Arthur, it goes through the like step
I saw
by
that
step.
one. Yeah,
and so everyone's been memeing that tweet because it's like they're going too in depth with it, but they might, in a sense, I get it, right?
But like, if that is how they directed that scene, like, I don't know, it was masterfully pulled off. Like,
no, it was a beautiful shot.
Right? Goosebumps. Scene is amazing. I don't know how they like great. I don't know how long that took to get that, but that was really good. That's
like made for the trailer almost.
Like I would get like a poster of that. That is such a good. It's so creepy. It's so well done.
I mean, and that shot alone implies that like she got out and he's in.
Right. I mean, like at some point she's like
there?
going up to like a courthouse, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know.
I think those are like actual permanent tattoos she has on like the lines. They look like permanent tattoos to me.
I don't know. She didn't have them in the
right, but like maybe she gets out and gets them. I don't
permanent tattoos. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. But no, her looks really good in this. It's not like it's too flashy. It's really right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think it looks really good.
Yeah. October 4th, I think, is the release date, right?
So we're still like 6 months away, but that's
fine. That's fine. It's still this year, you know.
It's
cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think it looks great. Yeah.
It looks great. Yeah. Very excited. So the other trailer that at least I saw this week that was exciting was this Maxine trailer, starring Mia Goth, and I don't think I've seen anything Mia Goth's been in before. I know of her.
Yeah, Mia Goth. We got some Halsey going in there.
We got Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. Oh my God, Kevin Bacon
looks great. I have to say,
Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito.
He looks it's an interesting role. I'm curious to see that.
Who else is in that one? There's quite the cast, honestly.
It was quite the cast. But basically, while you're looking that up, I'll explain the premise. It looks like we're following this adult film actress named Maxine. Maxine Minx, I think is her name, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Do you know that this is the third installment? Okay,
of what? Of Maxine?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let me explain.
Sorry, what?
So let me explain. So,
I had no idea.
It was either, I think it might have been this past year. I can't remember exactly, but T West got permission to make 2 movies set in the same universe. And he kind of went wild with it. So at first we got the movie X, which stars Mia Goth, but it also starred who plays Wednesday that everybody freaking loves. She was in the new Scream movie.
Yeah. Wow. This is really bad.
I know. We're old. But so she is Maxine in X, and her whole thing in that movie is that she wants to be an adult film star, and they go to shoot like a porno at this
Jenna Ortega,
and they go to film this porno at this like farm, and it's a horror movie. And then in that movie, there's an old couple in the farm that are kind of like the people that like. They're like kind of like evil old people. And so later that year, they had just shot this other movie called Pearl, which is Mia Goth plays the old woman and Mia Goth plays Maxine. And Mia Goth in Pearl is the younger version of the older woman. And it's like all 1940s, kind of 1930s, like, was Vaz kind of like horror movie?
Wait, so it's set in the 30s and 40s?
Yes. So it was a prequel.
What? It
was a prequel to X.
But she plays Maxine in it, right?
Right, but she looks like a completely. Yes, but like she's playing. Okay, what is going on? She's playing the old lady Pearl in X, and she plays Pearl as the younger version in Pearl. And then Maxine, you find out at the end of X when she's like the lone person that gets out. Sorry, spoilers for people. That she was a part of, like, her dad was like a part of this like crazy like Catholic cult sort of thing, and like she speeds off and she's all about like, I want to be a fucking star, like I'm a fucking star, and like Pearl says that too. And so now we found out like a while ago that they're shooting Maxine, and it's going to be in the 80s, and it's following Maxine from X into like the 1980s like porn industry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wow. I this movie could have probably stood alone on its own.
Sure.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So from what I was getting from it, what I was gonna say
Sorry.
was that no, you're fine. That's really it's fascinating. Is that this follows an adult film actress who wants to get into the Hollywood entertainment industry, and she it sounds like she wants to go into a horror movie to jump her career, but she ends up being in a real life horror movie with the Night Stalker. And,
right. Which, by the way, do you know if the Night Stalker is the name of Norman Bates?
I think it's a real person.
I know. I'm pretty sure the Night Stalker is a real person, but is that who Norman Bates turned out to be? Because it's the Bates.
No.
Okay.
Night Stalker's Richard Ramirez.
Okay. Okay. So I think they're taking a lot of influence from real world stuff, because they did show the Bates Motel.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Do you remember that in the trailer?
I don't honestly.
Okay.
But yeah,
I mean, and it's shot like how we were saying, how X, not how we were saying, but X was a 1970s movie. It looked like it was shot in the 1970s. The Pearl was as much aesthetically as a 1930s, 1940s movie as possible, but in color. And then this looks like it was shot in the 80s.
Yeah, he's having a fun time apparently with going to different decades for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and this screams the 80s. You feel like it's I don't know, even though it's a horror movie in a sense, this looks like a fun time being in 80s Hollywood. It's 80s LA just looks like a really great aesthetic for the slasher movie in a sense.
And
so
and I just want to give a shout out to I know everyone loves A24, but I really I feel like there's this renaissance of we're gonna do cool aspect ratios. We're gonna shoot movies on whatever lenses, and if we want to do it on film, then we'll do it on film. And I don't know if you saw the trailer for, I saw the TV Glow last night or whatever in front of this movie, but that one was also shot very stylistically different and had a cool film aspect ratio. I just think shit like this is cool, and I don't know what the story is going to be. I mean, I'm sure Maxine will get out of it somehow, and but it'll be this I think,
or it could be the crazy ending to a trilogy.
It could be the ending. I think that they're probably going to keep this thing going as much as they can, and I hope it's good. I mean, Kevin Bacon seems like this crazy, private investigator who's just what, I'm just wow, Kevin
Love
Bacon.
Love the vibes of him,
I'm so I think it sounds cool. We're getting this horror movie porno turned horror movie, and
what's so cool about this too is that I feel with the 80s, a lot of the time you just get comedy movies, when you go back to that time area or time period. And now this movie could have easily been a comedy where the premise alone of an actress wanting to get into a horror movie and being in a real life one is very comedy-esque.
I mean, this is the premise of a C movie, but with the resources of of a real Hollywood movie, right. So it's I mean, that's all the reasons I'm excited for it, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I'm excited for it because I really liked X. Pearl was good. There was good moments, but I wasn't as big of a fan. But I love Mia Goth, and I really like X, and so I'm hoping it's good. I think it looks fun.
Wild. This is a trilogy. I have just no idea.
It's good. It's I think it's really exciting. I think it's really cool that this is
might
this
have
little.
To watch the other two now.
I don't.
You don't think I'd like them?
You might.
They sound more like horror movies than this one, I would say. This seems like a horror movie I can live with. I wouldn't get terrified by.
Maybe,
but the other two might be more
I think you would probably hate some things about X. I don't know, Ian. I know this trailer looks like it might be something you could watch, but I have my doubts. I still feel like you might not like it. But
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I'll go with you to see it if you want to see it.
We'll see. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it. Yeah. I'll look more into it. I think.
Okay.
But
All right.
it sounds dope as hell. So
yeah,
I might have to. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I say we jump into our hypothetical now that you came up with.
Hypothetical.
This week.
So
do you want to introduce?
Yeah. All right. So my hypothetical. I don't know if we've done this one before, but I think
we did, but it was like 40 episodes ago. So.
40 episodes ago. Yeah. And I think after reading some comics and looking at some more Elseworld stuff, anyways, the hypothetical is, if you could take a DC Elseworlds story and make it into a movie, what would it be? For people who don't know what a DC Elseworlds story, it's kind of just like a one-shot story that takes place outside of canon. Yep. And it's just like Joker, how Joker kind of is. Mm-hmm. And I know we kind of said last week, like, what's a Batman villain that you would want to do like a standalone movie about? But mine is, it's a Black Label DC comic that came out. I don't know if it would necessarily be called Elseworlds, but it is Elseworlds because it's not canonical. It's just like a one-shot story. Maybe they'll do another one down the line, but I really enjoyed reading Harley Quinn Breaking Glass recently. Okay. And basically the story, like, I just think it would be such a great movie if they ever would put it out, where it's a teenage Harleen Quinzel, and she has moved to a big city, and she doesn't have anywhere to stay, because she was supposed to like move in with like her aunt and uncle, but they're not there anymore. So she gets taken in by this drag queen, and she's exposed to all these drag queens, and they're running this place where they host drag shows, and it's like a nice community for all the LGBTQ. And she goes to this high school, and she befriends her friend Ivy, who's very politically active, a part of the community. There's a community garden that her and her family tend to, and she cares a lot about her garden. And all the while, you have this like really shitty kid at school that like picks on her. And he's a part of this family that's like this shitty coffee company that like is buying businesses left and right, and they're like huge, and they're like making everything like gentrified. Mm-hmm. And they want to buy the building that Harley is living in, and you start to like have her kind of like, she's kind of like, a misfit still. She's still like very Harley, but as a teenager, and she's not bad, but she's not like good either. And she starts to like try to do good things for the community, but like she's also like super like reckless at the same time. And so it's just a good like coming of age story where like she meets like this mysterious, anarchist sort of character called the Joker at one point. Mm-hmm. And there's a bit of like her being swayed by him and her going her own way. And
right.
It's this really like down to earth kind of take on all those characters that I think would just like, I think it has a lot of important messages and like a really unique
no Batman
story.
Type character.
No Batman. Okay. And I just, I don't know. I really enjoyed that run, and the art was beautiful, and I think there's a cool way to do it. And I think it would be, I think it'd be a fun.
Now, and not saying this is like a bad thing in a way, but I think where you would see that kind of story get developed is like how like they did Smallville. it wasn't originally on CW, but that's where his home was in the end. And I feel like CW would be that kind of type of like route it would go, because it is such like a more grounded, like not big budget like story. But yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. I don't think I ever would have expected that answer, but I think that's a cool one.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like Elseworlds stories that would be cool to see that are a bit more fantastical. I just feel like I was thinking, well, what's like realistically something that could be a bit like made? And that one's just like, I really love that story. So that's mine.
Yeah, I guess with my idea, like I'm thinking of it as an animated movie, not as like live action per se. But yeah, so I read a good bit on this story. Oh, excuse me. The story from I guess it was their Elseworlds brand, but it was called Justice League Act of God. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
So yeah, like I know it wasn't.
Was it about
like
an insurance?
Received?
Was it like an insurance issue? And like the Justice League are like, no, like we'll file it under Act of God. You know, is that kind of?
No, you're way off.
Okay.
Way off. But yeah, so basically what happens is that there's this black light event that kind of like sweeps like through
a black
Earth.
Light event.
Yeah, I think they call it black light, but it's not.
And it's gonna show all the cum stains across the city,
the entire world. But basically, like it stops technology for like a super brief amount of time from working, but then it also wipes out everyone's powers.
Wipes out all the cum off the world.
No, wipes out wipes off everyone's powers.
Okay.
Who has powers in that world, right? And so basically the story takes you through like the main Justice League members and how they deal with like losing their powers. And so like some of how those members were written is like what pisses people off about like this like comic.
Okay.
Because like in the original Superman, like I think he's like in the middle, like when it happens, like he's in the middle of like trying to stop this dam from like, you know, I guess like exploding and like killing a bunch of people, and then he loses his powers and he's not able to save all those people, and it like basically just destroys everything about him as a character. Like he no longer like is like sure of himself and like becomes a drunk and like basically loses his like Clark persona because like he just doesn't care about anything, and Diana kind of does the same, and like I know like Lois leaves Superman in that story and like he gets with Diana, and yeah, so it's like it's kind of a messy, and I know people like don't like that aspect of it. I
mean, how long do they not have power for?
Like it's permanent.
Wow.
Yeah, like they never get their powers back.
Jeez.
Which is crazy.
Is Batman still Batman? Batman's
still Batman. So basically, like from what I was reading, there's still a group that like is fighting together, and so Batman is working with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle and Steel, because none of those people lost powers. They just were basically technology based. And I think in that story, I would want to tell like some of the details are from that as well. That like I would want the villain to be Lex Luthor, who's like basically, from what I was able to read, like he's kind of disguising behind this company who like wants to basically give people superpowers again, but they're really just experimenting on people, and so like superheroes who want their powers back are like disappearing because they're like experimenting on them. And so like I would love it for it to be that kind of a mystery with like all the grounded type characters trying to figure out like what's like how are these people like going missing and like who's behind it. But the superheroes who like lost their powers, I think they said like Flash and Supergirl and a few others, like basically still want to be superheroes without their powers. So they like train under Batman for a while and kind of learn how to fight without them. And they become this group called the Phoenix Group. And
it's kind of a lame name.
Yeah. And so they all change their names as well. Like they don't stick with like what they used to be called. They're like different, like called characters now. But But I think in my story, I wouldn't have it be like Batman trains them. I think they're capable of like learning themselves, you know? So basically I would want them, the Phoenix Group and the New Justice League, to team up towards the end, figure out, you know, who's behind all these kidnapping, disappearances, experimentations. Yeah, and so there is like a neat ending to that comic where like they go towards the future and like Superman and Wonder Woman have like a baby, and that baby ends up having powers.
Okay.
So like there's kind of like a glimpse of hope for the future that like superpowered individuals will come back. But yeah, I don't know. I think that just kind of seeing how everyone deals with losing their powers and how the world goes on, I think is super cool for the DC universe and that Justice League group.
Yeah, that is actually a cool story. How did you hear about that? I
was just looking up DC Elseworlds stories and I came across it. And
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm glad we kind of have a similar idea because I originally I was gonna go with the idea like basically creating my own idea.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like,
no, I wanted like one that like exists. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'm glad I read that right then.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I think obviously I haven't read it, but I think I can kind of understand why people would be upset about how Superman deals with the loss of his powers, because
becoming drunk and losing his persona.
Right. Like I feel like that inherently
it's just not him.
Is the opposite of like, because I feel like the thing that makes Superman is even without his powers, he still is that person.
Right. So I think,
but I'd have to read the story to see how that. But it's interesting.
I think how I would do it is like I would have him like lose his powers while he's trying to save Lois, and like that would be like if he were to break like he did, I think that would be the reason he breaks, is because he doesn't have Lois anymore.
Sure, not because that dam broke and he didn't save some people.
Right. Yeah. And that'd be the excuse of why he would get with Wonder Woman afterwards, then, because he doesn't have somebody. Right.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, so that's cool. I didn't know about that.
But yeah, it's a neat one. I think it's like a 3-part like miniseries in the comics. So
we should have, you know what we should have done? We should have done Godzilla versus Kong versus the Justice League.
Yeah, that's what I need to see. That needs to be the next MonsterVerse movie.
Right? We could have King Kong turn into a Green Lantern.
But then like why? Yeah. I mean, God, that's so crazy. But yeah, then like why would these monsters need to be, these Titans need to be the protectors of Earth at that point, you know?
Well, he would be the Green Lantern of Earth.
No, but if the Justice League exists, then why would they need the Titans to guard over like people and
because when Starro arrives, they need a little extra help.
So dumb. Yeah.
I'd love to see like a King Kong or Godzilla versus Starro. I wonder if that's a part of that run. I mean, obviously Godzilla would destroy Starro, but
yes, because I don't think he could control Kong, you know? No. Yeah. But yeah, I say let's get into some CinemaCon stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So CinemaCon 2024 just happened. We're not going to talk about everything.
Just a few things.
Just a few things that were interesting. Like we were going to talk about Margot Robbie doing a live action Monopoly movie. Some other stuff that was interesting to me is like they're making Smile 2. They showed stuff from like Alien Romulus that apparently was cool. They showed Inside Out 2, like the first like 30 minutes of that. Mm-hmm. Moana. What else? They showed like some of Mickey 17, which is the new Bong Joon-ho movie.
Finally, right?
The Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, some Furiosa stuff. I think what we decided upon was we're going to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, Transformers 1 and Captain America 4. Yep. And then, okay, so at CinemaCon, they had been talking about that M. Night Shyamalan's next movie is going to be a movie where if you were at a concert and something was to go terribly wrong. And so this movie's called Trap. And I have just heard the description of how the trailer played out.
So, by the way, I heard an original description that was way different from this. I don't know if you did too, but like I had basically heard that like the like concert they go to is like the fan base and the artists are like a part of, or they make up this like cult-like group who like the dad didn't realize was this kind of cult-like group. And which is so different from what I ended up reading.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Which I don't think is the case. So
no,
yeah,
because apparently from the footage, which I'm gonna lay it out because I was telling it to my girlfriend last night, and like the whole time, like her eyes just started getting wider and wider, which is exactly how I felt. Yeah. Which was, so this dad. Let me pull up the name. Josh Hartnett, who played like the guy who was testing out the atom splitter in Oppenheimer. Like he was the guy that was like, you got to stop having all this communism in the school. Yeah. So him and then his daughter, he's taken her to this like pop star show that's a Lady Raven, who I guess is like, think Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Lady Gaga sort of show. And they're having fun and they're driving to the show and they're like cracking jokes. And then they go to the show and it's this big, huge stadium and they're having a good time. And then he's like, hey, I got to go use the bathroom. Are you okay if you stay here for a bit? And she's like, yeah, Dad, I'm good. So he goes out into the into the stadium where like all the concessions are. And he starts to notice like all these cops at like a lot of cops at like every entrance. Mm-hmm. And he goes up to a concession guy and he's like, what's with all what's going on? All the cops. And the concession guy goes, we're not really supposed to say. And he's like, what? Not like, what's going on? And he's like, well, you know that serial killer that's been out called the Butcher? Well, apparently he's like here at this show. Right. And somebody got a tip that he's here and
all the entrances are blocked.
Right. And all the entrances are blocked. And he's like, oh my God, that's horrible. And then the dad goes to the bathroom and he pulls out his phone, which has a live stream of his next victim. And he starts smiling because he's the fucking Butcher.
Yep. And so now he's got to figure out a way out of this place without getting caught.
I was like, that sounds so. And apparently, I heard that the whole concert was put on as like a trap to bring like first they found out
the whole thing is fake. Pretty much.
The whole thing's fake. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Such a crazy premise.
I was like, oh my God, they're really going to show all that in the trailer. Like, I really hope that there's more to this movie because
it sounds like that'll be revealed at like the end of Act 1 or something, or early on. Who knows? Sure, it could be even earlier. Right.
So I hope there's more, but like that alone, that premise is sounds super good. And I think everybody knows like M. Night kind of is hit and miss sometimes.
He's the twist guy. Yeah.
I think I think more often than not, he's been doing a really great job. I know we didn't love Knock at the Cabin as much, but I wouldn't say it was bad. I just thought it was a little disappointing. But like I loved Old, I loved Split. I didn't like Glass, but
most people didn't. Yeah.
But I mean, I hope this is really good. And his daughter is the one who
they wrote it together, right?
Well, yeah, her daughter's like a pianist, and he wanted to find a way to like incorporate like music and work on it with his daughter. And then his other daughter was there who wrote the that other movie that we were talking about that he produced with like Dakota Fanning.
Watchers.
Mm-hmm. The Watchers, yeah. And so like they showed some of the Watchers too. So like his whole family's like super talented and
good for him.
Yeah, crazy, really good, really cool.
Yeah,
premise.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunate that we don't know more, but I mean,
I don't want to know more.
I mean, like, I'm sure we'll get a trailer somewhat this year, like sometime this year.
Yeah.
There's no release date yet, right?
It's
I don't think
supposed to be released in August.
Oh, well, we'll definitely get a trailer soon then.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
or like maybe like 2 months before it comes out. So probably by like May.
I'm curious
June.
whether like how I feel about the guy. Like, am I going to be rooting for him to leave, like to get out, or am I going to be right? Yeah, because it's hard to root for a serial killer. You know, like that's something hard to pull off. Yeah,
unless he's I don't know.
Unless he's doing it for like he's killing
like a vigilante
serial killers or something. Right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like Dexter or whatever. Yeah,
he's gonna kill his daughter.
Oh God.
No, he's not gonna kill his daughter.
He's not gonna kill his daughter. Yeah.
No.
But God, that's gonna be.
Kill him.
I think there's gonna be a moment where she knows, like she
has to know. Yeah.
Right.
Then she's like, shoot him.
Oh man, that's so rough. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm excited for that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the daughter's in on it.
That'd be a crazy twist. That would be a crazy twist.
She's like, I love you, Dad. No, let's go over here. I'm sorry. You had to be stopped. No.
Oh, I meant like, what if the daughter's in with him?
Oh.
Right. Like she's also a serial killer.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe.
Ugh, oh man. Yeah. Those are some cool twists that can happen. I think one of those is true for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I think the next one we wanted to talk about from CinemaCon was the Transformers 1 footage we heard about.
Yeah.
Some cool stuff was revealed. It's basically this Transformers 1, I guess obviously from the title, it's an origin movie, but we basically start off on Optimus and Megatron before they got their names and before they could transform. And they were just kind of friends, brothers who were working together in the lower levels of Cybertron. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so basically, the footage we heard about was that they hop on this like train to the surface and like illegally, I guess, and it's kind of a whole journey. And then the reason they're going to the surface is because they want the animatrix or the
animatrix, the matrix of leadership.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
And that will allow them to transform into actual Transformers.
Well, I don't think
or transform in general.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, the matrix of leadership is what makes Optimus like into like a prime. Like that is a thing that like primes have. Or
but like from what I read,
but because there's other people who can transform.
Sure,
like it's a rite of passage sort of thing.
Like from what I read, the I guess like they're together, Optimus and Megatron, and then like two others are with them, and like there's this scene where like they all get the ability, and like so they're like comedically like transforming into different things,
right?
And, like so like they definitely get something that allows them to transform for the first time. But I don't know if it's different from the Matrix of Leadership.
I think it is. It is. So it's Chris Hemsworth who's going to be Orion Pax, who is Optimus before he's Optimus. Brian Tyrese Henry as Megatron, who's going to be known as D16.
Yep.
Scarlett Johansson is Alita 1, and then Keegan-Michael Key voices a proto Bumblebee known as B127.
Now, I just feel like it's a good cast. It is a good cast, but it's a very like I think all of these people can play comedy like decently well.
Right. And it seems like that this is more like think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Right. It's a little bit more family friendly. It's a little bit funnier. But that's honestly like if it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like Mutant Mayhem, like I'm down. And people who I listened to that was at CinemaCon were saying like, look, I didn't know what to think about it at first, but it looks great. And it's got like a similar feeling and they're very excited. So
good animation, I'm assuming.
I think it's going to be really cool, unique kind of animation the same way that.
And I've always wanted a Transformers movie fully on Cybertron. So I hope that's what this is.
I think it will be. Yeah. I think some people think when they think like animated Transformers movie, we go back to the 1980s.
Sure. And there hasn't been an animated one in like 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So,
And so I'm excited. I'm excited that, this is all character based for the Transformers. We don't have any humans.
That's amazing.
And that's all
a good
cool.
step.
The human characters can be good, but like at the end of it, like that is not what I'm
And unfortunately,
there for.
like as good as that first like Michael Bay one is, like that whole trilogy has far too many human characters in it. Like they focus on like 3 or 4 different storylines for humans in like each of those movies. And it's so bogged down by it.
Yeah, I just need like Sam Witwicky, and that's
it. That's it. Yeah. Give me that human storyline. We're good. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it sounds really cool. I think we're definitely gonna get them going into, being Autobots and Decepticons and
right.
And the other, voice cast says that there's going to be Steve Buscemi, Lawrence Fishburne, John Hamm. So I mean,
good
really
voice actors,
cool,
or good actors, I should say.
Good actors. Love their voices. Part of it was saying like, think of a youthful superhero such as Spider-Man awkwardly experimenting with their newfound abilities, which is like them transforming. And it's kind of like coming of age sort of thing. So I don't know. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, I get why they recast for like those voices. Like I was a little upset that like
Peter Cullen come back and
I know, but he's so good. He's such a good voice.
But it does seem like apparently Chris worked with Peter Cullen to like find out what would be like the young pre-Optimus kind of voice.
Yeah. I don't doubt that he can do it. I think he'll pull it off.
Yeah. And honestly, like after seeing the Furiosa footage.
Yeah, I cannot wait for him in that movie, man.
That movie looks good. Like,
it looks so good.
I'm nervous about his character, but at the same time, like I think it looks like deliciously like fun.
Right. From what I'm hearing, it could be his best performance like we've ever seen from him.
Yeah.
So like I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I know this is like off topic, but yeah, his name is like Dementis, and he like based his character off of like a bunch of dictators throughout history.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
Right. So like the fact that he's doing his homework for like these like multiple roles that are coming out soon. I think he's becoming quite the A-lister actor here.
Yeah, and I think it's cool to hear him. I don't know if he's done a lot of voice work
I don't think he has.
previously, but I think this could be cool. Like he could be
Absolutely.
The same way that like Robert Pattinson in The Boy and the Heron. I was like,
right.
Holy shit.
Unbelievable. And that's his first voice acting ever.
Right.
Like,
and I'm like,
incredible.
And I heard in Mickey 17, like there's
he does
like
some more.
Well, he is multiple different Mickeys. Like he's different. He's like clones and like
Right.
he's like different versions. And some of the time he doesn't even sound like himself. Like,
wow.
I remember when I saw the horribly nihilistic movie with Tom Holland that he was in, the devil something.
I don't know.
It came out like kind of during COVID, and there's a lot of horrible things about that movie, but Robert Pattinson was like very creepy. He was shining in but he was like a horrible character, but he did this great like Southern Baptist preacher. And I was like, God, how is he doing these voices? They're
right.
So I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't hopefully Chris Hemsworth still like isn't Chris Hemsworth.
I think he's got this right. I think it won't be Thor. It won't be him and Ghostbusters. It'll be something with real effort. And I think he always brings effort. Sure, but I think something like that he can like really sink his teeth into and like have like some real acting in this role.
Right. I don't know. I don't want to say like real acting because I think his stuff with Thor is like real acting still.
Sure. I guess I'm meaning more towards like Ghostbusters where he's just this dumb like idiot assistant the whole movie,
Right. Like, I didn't see that movie.
Yeah. But No, I think he'll kill it. I think yeah, he's fine.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I say we jump on to
Our last
Captain
topic.
America 4 footage that we heard about.
Yes.
A lot of details revealed about this.
Yes.
Basically, I guess I'll kind of go through it chronologically. So it sounds like the start of the movie is Captain America, the new Sam Wilson Captain America. He is saving the now president, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
Played by Harrison Ford.
Yeah, now Harrison Ford. He's saving him from a White House assassination attempt.
Because somebody was like, I hear you're going to shave your mustache. He's like, I already did it. God damn it.
That sounds great, which is like...
I understand why they shave the mustache.
Well, yeah, because now you can kind of like give a little like nod to why the actor looks different, you know?
I know, but I wanted the mustache.
I wanted it too, but I think it works. And I think it's nice that we get a little like, oh yeah, he does look quite different from the 5 movies we've seen him in already, you know?
Right.
But yeah. So yeah, we do get that confirmation where there's a scene where like Sam's like, I don't know how I like the new look. And he's like, yeah, well, I had to do it for the election, or they said I'd lose it. Right.
So a little bit like when John Cheadle's like, is like, you look different. Get used to it. It's me now.
Was that? Yeah.
He's like, get over it. It's me.
It's me. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so we get those 2 scenes, and then I think after like he saves the president, there's a scene at the White House, I'm assuming, where he wants Thaddeus Ross wants Sam Wilson to restart the Avengers. Whereas it sounds like for some reason Sam Wilson disagrees on that. I don't know why. I'm curious to know why. But there's also in that scene, maybe it's another scene where like, Thaddeus is like, you're not Steve Rogers, just do your job. And, he's like, yeah, damn right I'm not Steve Rogers. But so yeah, it definitely seems like pretty immediately there's some butting heads in this movie with the president and Captain America. But yeah, I think those are the main kind of plot points that we got to hear about from CinemaCon, which all sound pretty in line with Captain America stuff. And like, I think that's a cool direction, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just reading like some of the stuff from the Entertainment Weekly article going through the stuff that was shown. And I don't think it's necessarily you're not Steve Rogers, do your job. It's like, it says like the same background of Mackie being a Sam Wilson being a military background is the same background why Thaddeus Ross holds Sam in a higher esteem than Steve.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so I think there's a bit more of like, you're not Steve Rogers.
Like you don't get to mess this up, like I don't know, like, because like,
but it's more
when you
like,
think about Steve, like he's perfect, like,
well, I think he's like, I think he's holding Sam to like a higher, like,
that's interesting if that's the case.
Yeah. And also that like Brave New World is kind of this is a reset, I think is what like Mackie was saying. It said this movie is a clear reset. It really reestablishes the idea of what this universe is and what this universe is going to be. I think he's maybe saying like a reset for the grounded portion of the MCU. Right. It says, I think with these movies are getting a clear new branding of what Marvel is headed towards, the same way they did with Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which this does feel like there is this, I wanted. Like I think saying that Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like was pointing towards a direction with Marvel that like, I think yes, but like I would not totally, I would not say under most circumstances that Winter Soldier was indicative of how they were going to take, but it was it was, I think, that the movie that people like perked their ears up and were like, oh, like this can be more.
The MCU is getting like really good now. Right?
Yeah, and we are having more complex narratives and like we're understanding the world more, and so right. I think I that's what I'm taking it as, and we literally have a whole new world post the blip and all these new things going on
that we really haven't got to see much of.
So and we didn't even mention that Isaiah Bradley, who was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, he's going to be in it, and apparently during like a White House.
I think this is the assassination attempt, maybe.
It might be. Yeah, it's let's see if I can find the paragraph.
I remember. Oh, you got it. Okay.
It says a strange sound, an old-timey song, interrupts Ross's presentation at a White House event, triggering sleeper soldiers in the room to attack the president, including Isaiah Bradley.
Right.
Which
is so sad.
Which Ian says is sad. I think it's cool. I don't think that Isaiah Bradley is even aware that he's a sleeper.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Which is what's sad to me, is that like he's still being used by somebody. You know? And it's like he can't just have his freedom and like live.
Right. And the thing is that apparently in the footage, like Isaiah Bradley just like, you're nothing, Sam, just like pushes him aside.
I mean, it's cool that he gets some action. I'll say that.
You know?
Yeah. I love Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah.
So maybe, and hopefully this is like an excuse to get Eli Bradley back in the universe. Mm-hmm. You know? Like I really want him to be somewhat of a sidekick for Sam. Even though we're getting that with like Juan Torres, I think, right?
Right.
Which we got confirmation that he's a big part of this movie, and he'll be Falcon, which is like clearly what they set up in Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Right.
So happy about all that. So all of these stuff that I'm hearing about seems to be like the right direction for Captain America 4. I'm glad that's the case, because we've been hearing so much bad stuff about this movie.
I think the rewrite, the fact that Kevin
3 months of reshoots,
rewrites, Kevin being able to have like more control over the output since Bob Iger came back. I think all of these things are. I think it sounds very exciting.
It's a good direction. You're right.
I think it's going to be a good direction. I think he said like, this is grounded. We're not getting crazy with it, you know? So,
okay. All right. We'll see.
I don't think that this is, and like we've said before, like all of this sounds great, but you know, I do think a Red Hulk is going to be in here, and I don't know. I don't know how Sam Wilson keeps being Captain America, not having the super soldier serum and having a Red Hulk and an Isaiah Bradley.
Isaiah Bradley, I mean, like he shoves you out of the way, you know, like.
So I don't know. I don't know if it would ruin Sam's character if he got super soldier serum or not.
But it kind of does for me. Like, like that's the whole reason that like Steve, I mean, it's not the whole reason, but it's like, it's a big reason why Steve didn't pick, you know, Bucky, you know, over him. I feel like having somebody who was a true like American citizen and didn't have any, you know, abilities was so like important for the next iteration of Captain America.
Yeah,
so I'd be upset if he got something. Yeah.
I hope they find a way to keep him without the powers, who's able to pull these things off spectacularly, kind of like a Batman sort of way about it. So
I mean, and man, you like genuinely some of the best action I've seen in the MCU was at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like that whole sequence where Sam is like flying around and fighting everybody, and it's so well done. Like it's like 10 minutes like of just pure like Falcon / Captain America fighting. It's great. It's truly great.
Yeah. So I think
hopefully they can bring that back.
Yeah, I think it sounds really cool.
Yeah, I think everything that we've heard sounds good for sure. Yeah. So yeah, I think that is that'll do it for CinemaCon and our topics this week. Did you get to watch anything this week? I know you did a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch the new episode of Survivor, sadly.
I haven't either. So
but
we're both behind.
Probably gonna watch that later today.
I'll watch it tomorrow.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Fallout last night, and
saw your story on Instagram.
I can't remember the last time I've been so excited for anything. Like,
wow.
Just I've been so excited for this show.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard nothing but good things. I was playing I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, took a fucking shot, ripped a bowl, and I sat down and I watched these first 2 episodes, and I mean, this is perfect. Like, it is so, like, if you're a Fallout fan, if you're somebody who just likes good TV, like, this is astounding. Just these first 2 episodes, like, everything that they've pulled off is fantastic. You're like completely immersed. Everything feels like it's just like it's made by people who like take the property like seriously, and as like it's as fun and as serious as the property is, and they don't treat things like, because there's some crazy things about the Fallout games.
Yeah.
But when you're the character and those things happen to you in the real life, like not in real life, but in the game,
for sure, right.
They are so scary, and like you
feel that in the show,
and characters react in ways that like you're like, that is how somebody would react,
right?
And there's parts in the game, like in the movie or sorry, the TV show that like I can just like I can see how the game would start off. I would see how the game would progress. Like I can see all these moving parts. I can see how like a character would choose to do this, and then that thing would happen. There's like elements like the VAT system that you can see kind of in play.
Interesting. I didn't think that would be really in play at all. So that's very cool.
Well, I'm just interpreting some slow motion scenes that happen as like the
so
VAT
just stylistic
system.
choices. Right.
And I just think like they've treated it with like such care, and they go places I didn't think they would go. And then I thought about like the fact that this is Amazon and they make The Boys, and like, so they go places.
They're
like,
not scared to do things, for sure. And I have seen a couple of spoilers with like I guess how they've treated some canon, which I don't think is bad. I don't know if you have either.
I haven't. I've avoided it. I will find out in the last 2 episodes, I guess, but I'm not gonna read about it.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, and by the way, we were pretty wrong about Walter Goggins' character. I'll say that.
Really? Like I was wrong?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. I don't know. Okay. But it seems like, I don't know. We'll see. But like from what the first 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, we might have had some wrong things about his character, but Walter Goggins is incredible.
Yeah, I saw a review saying he was the best part of the show.
He's fantastic. The guy that plays Maximus is really interesting. I have so many questions about his like what his motivations are. Lucy is so good. Lucy's dad is so good. They got the one of the guys from Hannah Montana is in this show.
Really interesting.
The guy, Ian, just like I just can't wait for you to watch it, because there's things in this show that like I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know that this was a thing that could happen.
Right.
Just it's so exciting. It's so good. And it really does. Like I was explaining to Hannah, like she was like, oh, like I was saying, I really wonder what the motivations of like Maximus is. And she's like, oh, is it like different is their character different in the game? And I was like, look, these
characters are not in the game.
These are all new characters. Consider this like season 5 of an anthology. Like this is a brand, like it's all the same universe. Consider this like a new game. Like that's how I've been treating
season 6 in a way, really.
Right.
With New Vegas, you know.
Right. And so I was like, just treat this as like a new story of a new game. Like that's how I've been treating it. Yeah. And I have nothing but good. Like I can't wait to do this podcast and then go and watch the show, because that's all I'm doing
maybe
this
I'll have
weekend.
To watch an episode as well. Yeah. But I'll definitely watch it all by the time we review it for next episode or next podcast. Well, yeah. So on my end, watched Star Wars Episode 6 last night. Great. Obviously, a great finale to that trilogy.
My favorite.
That's wild. I would still say Episode 5 is better in that trilogy, but
I didn't say like it's necessarily better, but it's my favorite.
Oh, you're just personal favorite.
This is my personal favorite. I love that.
Luke
one.
is like I think what's so great watching that trilogy is that like Luke clearly changes in each movie. Like he's playing like a different version of himself, and I think it's such a cool evolution of that character. So yeah, it's just great. I mean, everyone knows Episode 6 is great.
Right.
What else did I watch? I started Mad Men. Never seen Mad Men before.
Yeah, Mad Men's great.
Yeah, first 2 episodes are really great. John Hamm, is that? That's who. Yeah, he's been great. The woman who plays Peggy I didn't expect her to be as big of a main character as she is, but she's
she's a huge character. That's Elizabeth Moss. Yeah.
Right. I don't recognize her in anything else, but I feel like I recognize her face. You know?
She's in The Handmaid's Tale, and she's
I haven't seen that.
The lead of The Invisible Man.
I haven't seen that either. But yeah, great 2 episodes. Actually a lot of drama, but it like still feels like it's not moving like incredibly fast.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. But it's still, really great set pieces, great acting. Yeah. Good drama. But yeah, I think that's really all I've watched this week. It's a little Mad Men, a little Star Wars. Yeah.
Cool.
Little Avatar on the side, you know, got to keep that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's it. So yeah, you know, like always, this is the end of our podcast, and we want to thank you all for sticking to the end and watching with us this week. If you want to watch us in the future, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, we release on Monday mornings now with clips on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if you want to follow us on our social medias, we are posting on our Instagram at least again. So that the links for that is in the description below.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to like or follow or comment or rate or review us, we would very much appreciate it.
And I guess we'll see you next time, or until next time, or am I going to change this part, or no, we'll see you next time.